The ceasefire is decided between two DGMOs. And that's it. Means I don't see the role of anyone else. How did this particular information get leaked out to the Americans that they tweeted before we could announce this?
So friends, you had this master class on Operation Sindoor. I think there's hardly any aspect which has not been covered. And I open this now for any comments and questions. So I take a few questions together. Kindly keep it short so that we can take more. We'll have about half an hour of answering. So I'll start with Yogi. कैसे जैसे आप तीन ओके माइक दो भाई उधर सामने 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 हाँ
Thank you, sir. Very, very educative talk. We learned so much. I have just two questions here. One is that this is the first time during Operation Sindoor that the commercial satellites actually were deployed over that area of operation, even before the actual operation began. Planet Lab and so on and so forth. So I'm wondering how it is that Pakistan was not able to acquire the situational awareness, because the fact that the imagery was commercially downloadable on both sides. And to that extent, perhaps it compromised our capability, because the Pakistanis also would be knowing as to what we are doing. That's one question. Also, of course, the satellite, feed from the Chinese satellite might also be received by the Pakistanis. The other question, of course, is the larger one. You take Ukraine into Gaza, for example. Gaza, Iran conflict. So you have a combination now of missiles and drones being used, basically to neutralize their defense systems of the, let's say, something like US, or in this case, Ukraine by Russia. So the question here is that now that we take into account the Chinese also developing this drone capability with situational awareness embedded into them, how are we actually preparing ourselves to face that kind of a combined, let's say, this kind of a situation, this combined approach, to, let's say, to target our air defense? Thank you.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you very much for a very enlightening and informative presentation. My one question is, which was also a controversy, India lost some aircrafts. There were some Indian Air Force aircraft shot down, and till date we never have learnt what is the reality. If you can kindly explain.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, there. Oh, पीछे.
There is a perception that Pakistan was gaining a lot of leverage because of these Beidou navigation satellites of navigation system of China. It was able to track down the Indian basically combat aircrafts. So, and my second question is that why is basically Operation Sindoor is still continuing, because Indian government is still saying that it is still ongoing because it wants to prepare for the future, conflicts. So, any, thoughts on that?
Okay. Terrorism is not over, and hence Operation Sindoor continues. That's a short answer to this. There are a couple of questions actually. They're very interesting. So commercial satellite imageries are available from a number of US companies like Maxar, Planet Lab and Black Sky. And similarly today there are a number of Chinese companies also in the field which provide you commercial images. There's always a waiting period, and it's based on your contracts. So it's not that immediately things are available. You've done a contract, they'll give you those kind of images on a particular payment under different models. I think Pakistan felt that when I said that they were blind and they did not know the results of their strikes. They were actually, after 10th also till about 12th, they were trying their best to obtain images so that they have some evidence of some targets which they have hit. But unfortunately, once they did not get, they tried other Chinese satellites also. But since they are not able to hit any target, they got no evidence. But it created doubt in their mind after this also, that, people have maybe hidden this fact from them because of Indian insistence. So every kind of a theory there, but the fact is that they're not able to hit targets. They did, of course, try. So commercial satellites imageries from Chinese are available to anyone. Means anyone can buy. So it's not that Pakistanis only. Regarding this Chinese and Pakistani collusivity during this particular operations in present or in future, that's a larger question. Maybe he just referred to a specific thing. I can say this, that there is something which is known as a fact, something you can make as a reasonable assumption, and something would lie in the realms of speculation. The fact of the matter is that Pakistan's inventory of its platforms today, 70 or 80% is of Pakistan, Chinese origin, whether it is land-based, air platforms, some naval platforms. We also have an inventory of foreign platforms, and when we get those platforms, the maintenance and serviceability is the responsibility of the OEM, and their representatives are normally in the countries in which this equipment is deployed, because they're supposed to keep them serviceable. It's been used for war fighting, and in war, if this equipment is not available, then what's the use? So Chinese OEM people would have been there, and that's what Chinese have admitted, that their people were there. So there's nothing new in this. Today in our country also there would have been Russian OEMs, there could be French, there could be Israeli OEMs actually supporting that same equipment which you're holding. So it's a contractual obligation, which we must understand this. Satellite imageries, they're commercially available. You can buy it from Americans, you can buy it from Chinese. So to say that provision of satellite imageries to Pakistan by Chinese would have, provided some kind of intelligence would again be incorrect to say. What goes below this, that means you're targeting data through secure VPN links, etc. That could be passed, about which we actually would not know. So that could be falling under the thing of speculation. But one or two things I can say. Pakistan's understanding of the situation was quite poor even in the maritime domain. I can give you one example. Their daily briefings would tell where a carrier battle group was moving in the Arabian Sea. And when I checked back from the Western Naval Command as to where the carrier battle group was on those days, it was almost about 100 to 200 nautical miles off from that place. So means either they were getting wrong inputs of our carrier battle group, or means they were just not accurate, because they were dependent only on foreign sources for this. Why I am saying so is because their long-range maritime aircraft did not fly at all. So if you don't fly long-range maritime aircraft, if you don't have satellites, how do you get images, or how do you know where the carrier battle group is? It is from outside. So the source of information may have been, so it's a speculation on that side. But on the other side, the army has told me that whenever they redeployed couple of their strategic in the sense, this BrahMos units, land-based units, the Paki did come to know that we have deployed this. So was it based on satellite intelligence, or was it based on human intelligence? So that's again a method of speculation. So one can't really say that what is correct. Warfare, that's the first question. Second part, that's evolving. Yes, it is evolving, and drones, electro ammunitions, these are going to play, some people believe, a major role. There's one view that this particular thing is being overhyped. There's one view that this is going to change the course of warfare. There are two different kind of views. But one thing is for sure, the lower airspace which exists today will never be the same again. This is going to get hugely crowded, and in this airspace, unless we have visibility and transparency as to what's happening, if we are not able to control this lower airspace, we will not be able to win this battle. So that is the fundamental requirement. Whether this will play a major role or not, that a future conflict will tell. But the understanding of this lower airspace, say a kilometer, kilometer and a half, across the length and breadth of India, especially in the border areas, for future will be very important for us.
Yeah. That's.
Thank you, sir, for excellent information you provided on Operation Sindoor, sir. So, few things which add to, which comes to my mind, will be there in mind, but I don't know for whatever reason. A nuclear threshold was reduced for my understanding, in addition to whatever you said, is the successful attack on the Noor Khan airport, where their nuclear control units were there. And Kirana Hill, whether we hit intentionally, unintentionally, leave that speculation out. I don't want to go into that. But that does give a fear that now next time it may be hit there also, even if we are not hit intentionally. So that bring the threshold down. Drone warfare will be a new part, and weapon export will, of course, of India has gone up after Operation Sindoor. Thank you, sir.
Okay. आगे जाओ उधर.
Sir, over here. Sir, after the Pakistani AWACS was shot down, did Pakistan get one almost immediately from Turkey?
Okay. Pradeep.
I've dealt in Defense Ministry, the Operation Parakram, when I was custodian of Union War Book, and thereafter 2611. By those comparison, I will say that this Operation Sindoor, it's not a war, but then it's a brilliant non-escalatory operation. You had a very good control over the escalation by those standards. Because in both those incidents of Parakram as well as 2611, the idea of escalation was hovering around the decision maker's mind. So this is one very good observation what we have made. Another what I would like to mention that there is a concept of kill chain, but this Operation Sindoor established the kill web. Now just a suggestion that we should work on that, because there are various systems being integrated into one architecture. So we must focus on the kill web, and whichever element of that web is having an opportunity, they could take the target. Thank you.
So, let me say, kill web is part largely of a non-contact kind of an warfare. So to say that in future there will be only non-contact warfare will be entirely incorrect. So it's going to be a combination of contact and non-contact. We have borders which are disputed. So since it is land is involved, so obviously there will be contact warfare. So we have to be prepared for both kind of conflicts. The challenge for future conflicts is that contact warfare develops and is done in a certain time frame, and non-contact is done in a few minutes or hours. So there's a huge time differential. For contact warfare, you'll have to understand, you'll have to deploy, mobilize, you'll have to deploy, you'll have to posture, then phases of your attacks, etc. will happen. That may go on for about a week or 10 days or maybe more. Whereas non-contact, kill web, kill chains, etc. are slightly different. What kind of a strategy is to be adopted, what kind of a capability is to be created, that the services are looking at this doctrinally also and capability wise also. So we are looking at all these things because right now warfare by itself is a cusp of major change. Major change are going to come in how we're going to fight in future tomorrow. So that I think is a major change. I think we should not take the nuclear angle very lightly. So it's a serious challenge. So we should ensure that in fact nuclear targets are taken out from conventional targeting, and one will have to be careful in future. And that goes for both the sides. So there cannot be such kind of a mistakes. It creates a error actually and miscalculation from either sides. And in this time of when I said that how my time was involved, there is heightened tempo, heightened state of operations in which you have to take operation decisions. You must just take a wrong decision. You may be tempted to take a wrong decision. So that should not happen. One should have to be very, very careful. Regarding this question of AWACS, that was based on our technical inputs, based on radar, which Air Force has claimed. That was a thing which we have claimed. And why this delay in announcing this? Because I think the Air Force are looking at firm evidence from our sources inside to give some evidence of this debris, etc., which didn't come, so they had to come out with these technical details later.
Yes.
Sir, allow me to speak in Hindi if I could. बचपन में पढ़ते थे पृथ्वीराज चौहान ने मोहम्मद गोरे को 17 बार माफ़ कर दिया था, फिर बाद में क्या हुआ सबको मालूम है। तो ऑपरेशन सिंदूर में भी लगता था कि 5 दिन जब इंडिया वाज गोइंग अहेड सो मच, तो वी कुड हैव डन फ्यू मोर डेज एंड टेक केयर ऑफ द प्रॉब्लम, यू नो, फॉर लॉन्ग टाइम। तो क्या हो गया, कराची से में कर देते या कुछ नेवी को यूज करके कर देते?
ठीक है, रुक जा, जस्ट वन मोमेंट। या
Sir, we started with the lecture of yours. We're teaching a big lesson to Pakistan. So can we say this lesson is learnt by Pakistan for 1 year, 2 years, for how long? And we claim to be successful victory because of Noor Khan. It was a USA missiles there. And third thing that after this war, then this General Munir became Field Marshal and he is being invited in the White House. And after that we have a Makkah agreement, Makkah. So do you think this is going to have an impact on Indian, or like Gautam, our ambassador said, they are just individual country, not all the three together, just 0 plus 0 is 0. Thank you.
There, teacher.
Good evening, sir. First of all, congratulations on your phenomenal 49 plus years of military life. And we just recently saw the release of the Discovery documentary bringing the Operation Sindoor in the public domain. And although the tactical lessons are clear, but there is an talk about a mentioning about a call from Vice President J.D. Vance before the ceasefire. If you could throw some light on it.
तीन हो गए। सो पहला जो आपका सवाल था कि हमारे युद्ध के जो ऑब्जेक्टिव्स थे वो हमने डिसाइड किया था टेरर टारगेट थे। जब वो अचीव हो गए तो वी न्यू दैट पाकिस्तान विल रिस्पॉन्ड एंड वी विल बी एबल टू विन। सो वी वांटेड टू हैव अ डिसाइसिव विक्ट्री इन दिस शॉर्ट टाइम। ये हमारा वो नहीं था कि लड़ाई को जो है प्रोलॉन्ग करना है, तो ये कभी भी उद्देश्य नहीं था। जब हमारे लिमिटेड ऑब्जेक्टिव्स मीट हो गए तो हमने जो है जब उन्होंने बोला, हमने नहीं बोला उन्होंने शांति के लिए, उन्होंने हमसे बात की, तो दैट गॉट आउट। सेकेंड थिंग इज दिस लेसन्स विच यू हैड आस्क्ड। आर्म्ड फोर्सेज आर ओनली वन इंस्ट्रूमेंट ऑफ नेशनल पावर, देयर सो मेनी अदर इंस्ट्रूमेंट्स। सो द आर्म्ड फोर्सेज may have taught a lesson, but there are other instruments of power which also government has operationalized, is held the IWT in abeyance. That should put in some sense into Pakistan. There are economic issues also, diplomatic also. All this combined will, I hope, try and change state behavior in Pakistan. As far as Mecca agreement, I always said that what I said earlier, that 0 plus 0 is 0, we should not assume that at all. As a military man, you should be able to always think that the threat is high, and it means plan for the worst but hope for the best. That's what in the military they say. So you must assume that this is a challenge against you and must prepare accordingly in the military domain. That's important. And what was this question? The last one you said? Huh?
J.D. Vance.
See, I can only talk about this particular ceasefire, what happened in the military domain. I told you that they picked up the phone at about 9:30, spoke. We chose our own time. The DGMO said he's not available till about 3 o'clock, and then 3 o'clock he said, and then we decided at 5 o'clock. So the ceasefire is decided between two DGMOs. And that's it. Means I don't see the role of anyone else. how did this particular information get leaked out to the Americans that they tweeted before we could announce this? Again, I'm really not sure, but it didn't leak out from us. So there has been some kind of an understanding between this us, the DGMO level, that this any kind of conversation which is helped, you maintain due secrecy on this. So I think that it somehow got leaked out from the other side. That's what I feel.
But with
That's
massive, massive
yes.
consequences. Okay, here.
Jain sir, I have 3 very specific questions.
Put a question.
Okay, so it was declared during Op Sindoor by the Prime Minister that any act of terror will now be considered an act of war. Under that policy, is it now prudent to expect that the next time an act of terror happens, directly Pakistani military targets will be struck instead of just terror targets, since we saw a lot of senior Pak military officers at Murid ke funerals and in Bahawalpur as well?
There.
See, one of the thing is probably what happened on the actual military side is a different thing, but narrative war we seems to be, I mean, as per media, maybe Pakistan might have won. So what are we doing for narrative war? Number one. Number two, US relationship with India and Pakistan on this. On the day of 10th of May, this seems to have changed. I mean, US became a bit hostile towards India. So what has been the case for?
Yeah.
Good afternoon, sir. So my question is, how do you contextualize the civil defense cooperation beyond bureaucratic and political chambers? During Operation Sindoor, we saw how this active act of cognitive warfare was practiced by Pakistan. So this blurs the line between rigid army institutions and the civilians that took part in actively resisting and countering that. So how are civilians integrated in this larger plan of defense, if they are?
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Please stand up.
Okay. Thank you, sir. My question is related to some of the learnings and lessons which have been institutionalized post Operation Sindoor, and also if you could do a comparative assessment of lessons incurred from the engagement or this clash with Chinese, because we have been moving multiple pieces of puzzle, basically, and do all these add up to this big picture? Are we taking some of these lessons and moving forward with them, institutionalizing them, because our adversaries are? So, thank you.
So, the first question was acts of terror which will be treated as war. Acts of cross-border terrorism, that could be treated as an act of war. What is war itself is, the whole definition is changing today. So what used to be declared kind of wars which we've seen in World War II, World War I, those kind of wars do not exist anymore. But conflict does exist. So a different kind of war will be fought. And in this kind of war, what are the kind of targets? How will you achieve those objectives of the war? That all is changing very fast. It's not only because of technology, but because of geopolitics also. So in this, everything could be on the cards, or the options, I would say. Civil military cooperation was one question, and I think whenever the war was being fought in conventional domains, land, sea and maritime, there were forces created for this. There's the army, there's the navy and the air force. But when we are going to fight wars in new domains of cyber, space, cognitive warfare, I think the structures, the kind of people who will man them will be entirely different. So if we want to create a cyber force, a big cyber force, there will be a huge component of civilian cyber experts into it. If we create a space command or expanded space agency, there will be a lot of scientists from ISRO, DRDO. or maybe new startups, part of this organization, they'll serve in this. And similarly, when we look at cognitive warfare, whether it is psychological operations, media, creation of content, etc., again for this, there'll be civilian contact. So in future, even the combatants are going to change in the kind of warfare. So we must keep all these ideas open. The narrative war, or the endearment of say Pakistan to US, and a couple of people have these kind of talk. What they have won probably is this war of servitude, sycophancy and servility. We have maintained our dignity and said that we did not ask for this ceasefire. So that may have costed us, but we stood straight. We've not bowed down. Nobel Peace Prize and things like that. We didn't go in for that.
But a connected question here would be, how did our media cover this? What was, it was plus minus for our people?
This media and perception management, or information warfare, cognitive warfare, as it will be fought, or it's called now with various kind of names, is again a kind of an evolving concept. Whether armed forces will be part of it, they should drive it, I'm not very sure. Our job is actually to create facts. The narrative can only be built on facts. So that is one important job. Should we create contents for media warfare in future? Do we create capabilities in this particular field? That we have to see, because in this particular operation, the media war room was opened by Minister of Information and Broadcasting. They are supposed to deny it. Obviously, there are gaps. By the time news is breaking out because of in social media or in Pakistani or our media, which could be false, which could be planted, to understand that and deny that, it was obviously taking a lot of time. So conventional methods of this probably will be, if you want to use that, you will be handicapped. So tomorrow you will have to automate these kind of things. The armed forces on their part have understood this problem, and they're trying to meet these challenges for the future.
Okay, there. Oh, sorry, after you. Then.
Jai sir, I'm Shailesh from National Defense. May I request you to please talk about the collateral damage or the casualty which we suffered, especially the political controversy which was created lately about the martyrs, about their, this casualty being hidden by the Defense Ministry. This is very important. I don't want to litigate, but in case we can take the second one, Deputy Chief of Army Staff, Rahul Singh had said that the Chinese were in active collusion. They were providing the real-time intelligence. Since you said something else, so just want a clarification.
Okay,
thank you, sir.
सर मैं हिंदी में प्रश्न पूछने में ज़्यादा सहज हूँ. तो सर जितना पाकिस्तान को विदेशी सहयोग मिला, वो भारत की नीति उसमें कहाँ पिछड़ गई, और क्या हमें ये आत्मनिर्भरता की ओर नहीं प्रेरित करता?
Okay, there's some hand I saw there. Yes, there.
Let me introduce myself before I ask the question. I'm a veteran. I'm 86 years old. When I joined the army, the Chinese war started within a year of my joining the armed forces. So I took part in that as a 19-and-a-half-year-old youngster. Then 65 war started. I happened to be there itself. 71 war started. I was there again. All as a company commander or a company officer. Then something happened in Sri Lanka, I was there again. In between something happened in Nagaland and this thing, I was there again. Now I am, on 31st, I will become 86 years old. Now when I saw this wars going on, what happened to me that, what is all happening? I'm speaking from the perspective of a person who has seen the previous wars and who is seeing the war that is being fought today. There is the thing that come to my mind that officer asked the question about the civil defense. The Prime Minister made a mention of it in his speech that you are going to have a civil defense in a big way. It is important because he made this thing that the war is not going to be fought at the borders. So it will be fought in our cities. It will have fought, perhaps something will happen in Noida. Then what do? I just can't keep, earlier the concept of civil defense was कि भाई रात को लाइट ऑफ करके रखो नहीं तो हवाई जहाज देख लेंगे. That was the concept of civil defense. What is the concept of civil defense today? Because you don't know the enemy is going to hit a target which may be a civilian target or a target which is both civilian and military. So what do? So these are the thoughts that coming to persons outside, even amongst the community, armed forces community who have retired a long time back, and they think about it. Ki what's happening? They see the world has changed so much. The second aspect was, there was something called Geneva Convention. Is it still on? Then the third was, there are certain agreements between two countries that was sacrosanct. Is it sacrosanct today? We don't know. So we are confused. Your thoughts on this, General Chauhan?
So that was the last question. I will round up after this.
So short answer to this question which was asked in Hindi, that Atmanirbharta is a requirement of the future. Atmanirbharta not only in defense manufacturing, Atmanirbharta in our thoughts, in our ideas, our own kind of understanding of how things are changing, how our world is changing, how warfare is changing, our own Indian strategies, tactics. I think that's important. All this is important. The casualties which we suffered, obviously every soldier we lose is important, especially from the point of view of the family of the soldier. I'm not trying to trivialize it, but considering the context of this particular operation, these 4 or 5 casualties happened during the trans-LC fire. And this trans-LC firing, of course, there's been a ceasefire on since 2023, I think. But before that trans-LC fire, people would get injured. So in this, there was a heightened trans-LC firing for those 4-5 days. And obviously, such kind of casualties are expected, and no one denied this. Actually, no one asked. The issue is that no one asked because everyone thought that it was too less considering the scale of this operation. So it only came about later. Chinese help I've already kind of covered, sir. To your last question again, sir, that firstly, let me wish you a happy birthday in advance, 31st of August. So you're completing 86. Again, sir, the kind of, I also learned war like you've learned or you fought. But now, at this stage of my life, we played out a war which was entirely different. Now, whether such kind of wars will happen in future, maybe this is a direction, but I'm not very sure, and I cannot say conclusively that all wars will be like this only. But certainly this is a direction towards which we are moving, in which the battlefield space is expanded exponentially. So people in Noida, there is no front, there is no rear, means there is no depth, etc. of battlefield, there is no linearity in warfare. So all this is changing. This is a different kind of a concept. Air defense will be becoming a major challenge because all strikes, etc. will use the medium of air. Lower airspace, and lower space till about 100 kilometers. This is going to be the contest of future. Prime Minister has already said that we need to have some kind of a Sudarshan Chakra to protect this. So work is on towards it. But such kind of war will require everyone's participation. They will get involved into it, even if it affects them. So as citizens, we must be aware as to what's happening. These are different kind of challenges which the nation will face in future. Thank you.
So thank you very much. I think your talk has certainly raised a lot of awareness about how the warfare itself is changing. And we are living in a period of massive change. And I think it won't be very easy even for the military planners to plan for the wars about which we know very little how they are going to be fought. I think that's the point that you made. Because of the changing nature of a battlefield, the multi-domain nature, and even defining victory. What is it that we define victory as? And I think the point that you made that these wars are going to affect everyone, and everyone is in a way a participant. And citizens have to be aware. So there has to be kind of a dialogue. I think this dialogue has helped that citizens would understand better. We always think war ho raha hai, armed forces are fighting and we are sitting here. But actually that is not the case. There are so many other factors and external players. You also talked about nuclear risk reduction, you talked about the exit strategies and all that. But I think what was very revealing and not many people knew till you told us that how it was all planned. This is those 23rd to 6th. So that you gave us a glimpse as to what was happening at your level, at political level, at the level of services. And you also kind of gave a indication as to how these integrated structures are now evolving. I think CDS's task was really to put in place those integrated structures, and the work has begun. And of course, it will be a long process. And we have to integrate our structures for a war. We don't know what kind of a war it's going to be. But it's for everyone. It's, I think, a strange situation. But I think that way Operation Sindoor has been a tremendous, so to say, learning on the job. Probably, as you said, and this probably happened because you have all been thinking since the Russia-Ukraine war began, because there was, everybody was talking about Russia-Ukraine war, and then Gaza happened, and so many other things. So constant war gaming that went on, and in think tank circuits I can say there was a lot of way people were thinking ki kaisa war hoga, kaisa hoga. I'm sure this was happening within the government also. But perhaps one of the most important factors here was the clarity at the political level. No confusion, no nothing. And as you said, the armed forces got together and they said that we will do what we are. And in fact, the deficiencies would not come in the way. And then you planned within those constraints. And I think beautifully executed. And Pakistan has learned its lessons. But I think it's learning a bit too fast. And it is, so we have to be also seeing what Pakistan is really doing, because I think Pakistan is up to a lot of things. And we have discussed in other fora also how they are very quickly learning. And this Mecca Accord, etc., a lot of things are being written. We should take it rather seriously. And I agree with you, 0 plus 0 in this case does not add to 0. It is probably much more than that. So we all learnt a lot. And the gentleman here asked about the narrative warfare, the strategic communication, which is an extremely important part of war fighting. In fact, we are still fighting that war. Because Pakistan abhi kuch bolte rehte hain, and still a lot of doubts, questions keep on. So I think this is an ongoing process, and as you said, Operation Sindoor is not ended, and we remain prepared for it. So but it's been a wonderful experience learning from you, the primary source as to how the war was planned and fought. Thank you so much. Namaskar.